following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to NerdProm.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all nerds! International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, Genesys RPG Podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys role-playing system from Fantasy Flight Games, a show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both the players and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, are my cohorts and co-hosts, Chris Holmes and Stefan Dragonspawn. Just kidding, Dragonspawn. I got it almost all right, damn it. How are we doing, fellas?
I'm doing good, yeah, boy! Monday Night Raw! That's right. Tony thinks I cut all of that out, but I didn't. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll disown you as a brother if you don't.
I reintroduced it. Yeah! So how you doing, Stefan?
I'm doing good. Doing good. It's a little cold up here in Canadistan, but we're keeping warm. So
yeah, I'm pretty...
Just not enough gaming. I mean, with Tony's Star Wars game on hold, and I'm not rolling my Shinetar game anymore. It's wrapped up. I don't have anything. It's dry.
It's cold in the winter months.
Yes, I don't have. And my Dragonstar campaign I have to put on hold because some players had to drop out, so I have to find new players.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, but it's giving me some time to work on the Dragonstar stuff. I've done the vehicles, and now I'm going to introduce mechs into Dragonstar. What the hell not? Why not?
Hey, sweet.
If you're going to have technology, having a big mech fighting a dragon, why not? Cool.
Why the hell not?
Yeah. So there you go. And you, Chris?
Well, let me tell you something. Okay, hey, Drew, if you are listening to this, you need to stop listening until... It's January 11th when we play again, D&D, because, all right, hopefully he's not listening because I want to surprise it. He didn't show up, but three of the four players that did show up had to re-roll characters Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that a bit.
And it wasn't my fault. One of them instigated a couple of them. It's one of those things like, here's the plan, and he's like, then the plan goes, and then he bolted, left the druid in the room. She, well, was a he, drank from a fountain, was a she. She died in a wine-filled room. Wine mephits, yes, that's a thing now. Killed her. Another guy locked himself in a chest, and force explosion turned him to dust. Yay! And then the person who bolted out of the room, his character, got eaten by locusts.
Like you do.
Oh, by the way, that was Tomb of Annihilation spoilers for anybody listening out there.
Right.
So. Yeah, good. What's that?
God, I hate dungeon crawls.
No, that's a death trap dungeon crawl.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, we're having fun with it, man. We were
fun
cracking
to play through if you go through with that attitude. That it's fun to
that's what it started with. And I told them, yeah, you can use D&D Beyond on your fucking tablets, but bring your goddamn character sheets. Print them out, because we'll rip them in half. And sure enough, when the one guy, he's like, well, what happened? I reached down, grabbed his character sheet, and went, whoosh, and everybody else went, what? I'm like, yep.
He's dead.
Pile of dust.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're having fun with it. It's great. But the one guy who didn't show up doesn't know that he's now coming back to the party. Three new party members.
With three new faces.
We've got to see how we can make that a little more what's the word I'm looking for? A little more authentic reaction to it. So, how about you, Tony? Sorry, I kind of rambled on there a little bit, but...
Dude, whatever. We haven't talked in a day and a half.
There's that.
I've been doing fine. Mm-hmm. Like I said, my Keyforge got canceled tonight, but the missus decided she wanted to make me dinner because she had the day off, so she made these amazing zesty pork chops. They're just so damn good.
Good.
And, you know, they fit right into my keto diet because of just pork chops and onions and flavor.
Nice. See, if you would have let me get you that air fryer for your wedding when we were at Con and a Cob, you could have made some sweet-ass crispy chicken wings.
With what?
Oh,
chicken?
You could put whatever the hell you want on there. Put whatever you want on them.
Right? You use flour to make them crispy.
No, you don't.
Right?
No, you don't.
Good.
Anybody out there with an air fryer? 12 minutes, 350 degrees. Flip them. 12 more minutes, 350 degrees. Crank it all the way up for another 6. Perfectly crispy. Then you put whatever. Then you could dip them, put them anything on there. Yeah, you put them in there dry. Just shook some salt on them. That's it.
Jesus, Chris. Okay, you need a cooking show at this point.
I might. Do we need to create
podcast.
Do we need to? No, dude. We might be able to add like another segment sometime next year. We'll see.
The cook's corner.
That's right.
RPG cooking.
Smoking dragon meat with Chris Holmes. No.
Yeah, that'll get some comments on a MeWe from the guys, right? Smoking dragon meat from Chris Holmes. Yeah, okay, there you go. Nice one, Tony.
That's right. That's why
Chris
I
is
said
finally smoking the dragon meat. There we go.
What?
I wanted Stefan to appreciate it more than you. So today's episode, we have decided to do a semi-deep delve into the expanded player's guide.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're going to be doing this as just Chris and I can dive into our books.
Right.
Stefan will play the straight man since he hasn't gotten his yet.
Right.
Well, I'll try to play straight. As much as I.
Not all of us
The
have.
comedic straight man. Does that help?
Yeah.
Right.
That means it's ironical.
Yeah. I'll ask questions as if I don't know anything, which pretty much it is.
Was that different? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm not pretending to be Jamie.
Yeah, there we go. Well, shall we? Do you guys want to get into it then?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
let's begin
coming
the
right
show.
up, episode 46, expanded play.
All right, everybody, we're back, and Tony mentioned it was episode 46 expanded play. It's actually episode 47 expanded play, and no, we're not starting with index 0 out there for all of you programmers. And I know Tony's not a programmer, so that probably wasn't it.
I confused you.
Using them big
words.
Well, this segment is called Boosting the Signal, where Stefan shares all the hot and juicy Genesis news, fresh off the wire, and then reviews lets us know what's out on the Foundry. So, Stefan, what you got for us, man?
Yep. There we go. We've got 3 things that I'm just doing a little bit of expose on. The first one on the Foundry is called Low Fantasy and Dark Fantasy Careers by Radolphe Saint-Germain. It's pay what you want.
You sure it's not Saint German?
No, Saint-Germain.
That's Saint Germain for all you white people.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
Right.
You've been watching Watchmen too, huh? Woohoo! Sorry, keep going.
So, as I mentioned, before I was so rudely interrupted, it's pay what you want. And the blurb says, this exciting document provides you with all the low and dark fantasy careers you could possibly need to play adventures in a grim and dark old worlds, or when exploring even the darkest of dungeons. So over 30 new careers, such as the Grave Robber, the Scoundrel, or the Warlock. And 13 new talents, such as the Tunnel Rat, Hound, and Speak with Animals, for example.
Oh.
So those are pretty cool. Looked at it briefly, and well set up. There's the same layout as the Genesis books. So they did a good job there.
Awesome.
And and then you've got Brash Fink's Wondrous One Sheets 01. So I'm assuming there'll be more in the future. By James Brandt. Also, pay what you want. Simple custom rules, he says, that fit on a two-sided sheet of paper that he's created for a variety of reasons for his own games and campaigns. It includes custom careers that he includes on that. Minions Unhinged, which is a different way, he says, of thinking of and using minions. I read through them real quick, and I'm not quite sure I understand the way you wrote it, though. And myself, it seems like we write it. It's you think of it as this way, but you use it as a regular minion. Well, what's the point then? Maybe I'm understanding it wrong, but what's the point of trying to set up to using minions differently if they're the same? But anyway, and how to use different types of characters as a minion group. So if you have two, let's say, bruiser type guys that are minions, and one is more of a rogue, and how to use them together.
Oh, that's cool.
So
well, maybe
the other
together. Maybe the other minions Unhinged is more of, was it guidelines to creating more powerful minions, yet still minions and not quite rivals?
Just the way. If I quote just what he says, it's like he's never really liked minion groups. I dislike the aesthetic of minions crammed together, just like moving. I just like the moving like a zombie horde, the weird way hits work, etc. So because of this, I frequently want to run adventures with only rivals or higher.
Okay, well that's cool.
But the problem is that there are lots of talents that work against minions specifically. So he says Minions Unhinged introduces the concept of stages, which I won't go into.
That's all good. I was just wondering.
If you get it, if you like it, it's a pay what you want. So you can pay $0 for starters. If you like it, go back, give him $1.
Cool.
No. So that's one thing that's available, and then Chris Markham gives us for Terranoth Taverns, a little supplement that provides 4 unique taverns for the setting of Terranoth. Each place has its own culture and NPCs inhabiting it, a little bit of a flair. One of them, for example, is a tavern full of gnomish inventions. So all kinds of gears, little toys, wind-up toys walking all over the place. A watering hole for orcs, a refined dining experience, or a taste of the exotic jungles of Zanaga, sorry. So each tavern has its own, like I said, NPCs, a tavern layout if things go sideways and you need a tactical map. Nice. Unique food and drink.
What? Combat in a tavern? Never.
Nah, never happened. It's all social, You never go beyond, such a combat turn 0.
Yeah. There you go.
And a few adventure seeds that go with that. So, cool. Chris Markham is a veteran, apparently. It says here, veteran writer for FFG. Realms of Terranoth, so we might be seeing some more from him.
Cool. Yeah, I actually picked that up. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
And you know what you could do? Because Christmas is coming, you might be able to use that gnomish tavern as kind of maybe a Christmas-themed elf toy shop.
There we go.
Kickoff to a go rescue Santa Claus adventure or go.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
I should run that for a one-shot.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
Santa's
and I just
Sleigh, SLA.
That's it.
That's right.
We got old Saint Nick using his Santa Claus with Vicious 2.
Nice.
And I just saw before the show on Drive Through RPG something else that's available. The same guy who wrote Slaves of Fate called The Brand. Jason Duff, a little adventure for Genesys RPG. Just a generic adventure. You could set it, I think, in any fantasy setting.
Cool.
$1.99. So there you go.
It's great. It's a great time to be a gamer, I must tell you. Good Lord.
Yep.
Every
exactly.
time.
I remember having to hunt high and low for either adventures, modules, where they would sell them, and even finding players. You have to use an old, message board in the hobby store. Just put your ad with a push pin and hope someone answers it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a little bit of paper that you rip off and hope you don't lose on the way home.
There you go.
So there you go. Those are the 4 little things that I wanted to mention on the Foundry.
Nice.
Yeah, you got us a bonus round.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, creators, Foundry foragers, and people, please, we hope Stefan went out, boosted the signal on your product, or got something in your ears there that you can go out and find on the Foundry. Go out, pick it up, give these guys a few of your bucks. It's Christmas. Have fun.
Yep.
Welcome to 50 Pieces of Awesome. This is where our buddy Chris goes out onto the interwebs, scours it until he finds something for you to pick up for free that is Genesis related.
Yes.
What have you got?
Well, I have something here that I have always thought would make for a great RPG setting. The first time I saw the movie. Didn't read the books, didn't watch the TV series until, I don't know, maybe about 5 years ago. This is Avatar, The Last Airbender. It's Avatar, The Second Age by Zszree out on the Genesis forums there. I'll have the link to that there. My word, this is like 250 pages of awesome. Though I must say, they put together, they added all the rules into this book. So copied over like how to do it, which I have some comments about that later, but it's okay. Because this definitely captures that feel of The Last Airbender, because it was a brilliant cartoon, great story, great feel, and I think I really think they captured it here. And one of the things that they thought outside of the box on this one, because you know what, you don't have brawn, agility, cunning, intellect, willpower, or presence in this. They replaced those with body, well, okay, so you do have agility, you do have intellect, but guile, charisma, and chi. Being used to do your avatar stuff or your bending and whatnot. Right. They introduced the concept of honor, which is always good. And then animal companions were a really big thing in the show, and they have some rules here for that, expanding on, I think, what they gave us in the Genesis core rules and pulled on the Force and Destiny from the Star Wars line put in here too. They did do classes and specializations, though, not like you pick a class or a career like in the core Genesis, more like the Star Wars version. And then in the expanded player's guide, they go into how to create classes and specialization trees and whatnot. So that's in here, how you would do it. And I'm pretty sure it's very well done. There.
Cool. I was a big fan of the series too. I got all the DVDs of The Last Airbender, and sometimes I just popped the DVDs and just watched them one after the other.
Yeah,
it is rich kind of whole setting, and each country or nation is slightly different, but still inspired by the Asian.
There are
flavors.
there are plenty of archetypes that they added in here as well. They nailed it on the gear and setting too. The gear and crafting, I mean. The feel for all the items and the crafting, added those in there. Now, the bending rules, kind of a mix between force powers, where you pay for, your modifications of it, your control and those kinds of things with XP, and you have like the actions and maneuvers from the magic system, that the optional one they have in the core rulebook here. You can like I said, you can upgrade to forms with XP as well. So that's pretty awesome. There's about 17 pages on the universe and organizations, 18 pages of adversaries, and what's really nice is they put in a 20-page, 2-episode mini campaign at the very end of this. So it was pretty damn awesome. And like I said, the only criticism would be putting all the rules in the book. I know it's nice to have everything all in one place, but highlighting the differences would be good. Makes it a little smaller and stuff for people to digest. But Kudos. This is a great job. I would play in this. I'd love to.
Oh,
when are you going to run it? When are you going to run it, Tony?
Some year. No, okay. So,
what do you guys
Avatar has always been a love of mine as well. My youngest son, you guys have met him and played with him, Sean.
Yeah, Sean. We had him on the show.
He actually was so very into that cartoon when it came out on Nickelodeon. And him and I would religiously, father-son, sit down every day when that came on, and we would watch it together for years as he was growing up. So it's very close to our hearts. And when I told him we were going to be looking at it and told him that there's a Genesis, he said, okay, you have to run it as one of your one-shots for your show, and I have to be your player.
There we go. That's it then. We already have one.
That's a new year.
Yeah.
So starting next year, we're going to start doing those one-shots, and I may do that for him. He may have to wait a year or two. Who knows?
Yeah, this is good stuff. Very good.
No.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Chris, about the rules. Yes, while it is cool to have them all in one place, all the rules about dice rolling and all that stuff, particularly Chapter 1 in this book, is not the system stuff. That should remain in the core rule book. And because, again, while Fantasy Flight is gracious in letting us create things for this, put it out there, and I know you're not trying to get any money for it, but those core mechanics, you want to encourage players and other people alike to buy the book, to buy the PDF, and they can have two different sources. You can have the differences from the core rulebook in your product that you made, and this is just my opinion. But adding the rules that are the same just seems like wasted space. It doesn't need to be 250 pages.
Right.
So
that's it. No, I would definitely wouldn't mind playing it in something like that as well. I was, like I said, big fan of the show. I had tried to get into the Legend of Korra, which is the second part, but just with timing, I didn't get into it. But I would try to find maybe the DVD, and because I did like it goes a little bit more like steampunk, bending technology almost. With people who metal bend, and even the firebenders now can harness electricity, and they basically charge batteries. That's part of their job. Nice. And that allow the city to, instead of having hydroelectric dams or stuff like that, well, they charge these turbines with their bending.
Nice.
And the competitions of bending sports, teams against teams, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I did give this a once over because Chris, you had mentioned that you were going to do it, so I started looking into it, and I mean, the bending rules are amazing.
Yeah,
those are my absolute favorite thing about this. Second favorite will be the change in characteristics.
Yeah, cool.
And it is something I think I will mimic for my Kung Fu Panda.
The characteristics change and potentially the bending too, or
the characteristics.
The characteristics.
Change.
Yeah, that's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well done.
Well done.
Congratulations there, then, Silura. So we all give you 50 pieces of awesome for all of that awesome bending.
Sorry about the gum on my 50 pieces, man.
Oh, it was a little gummy, but
Yeah, same pocket.
Yeah. Well, put some ice on it and you can just chip it away.
All right, well, welcome to the Books of Genesis, where we're going to break down the extended player's guide bit by bit. You missed it there, Stefan. You came a little late.
Oh, all right. I know. I'm doing it as a round.
Nice. Your 6 seconds. Go. All right. So open your book, people. And I think, you know what, the first thing we're going to do, what are your initial impressions of it there, Tony?
Love the cover.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know how the original core rulebook cover,
Yeah.
how it looks unfinished.
Yes.
How it goes from finished to unfinished, but it also has like that look of a futuristic and
old.
Old at the same time.
Yeah.
This looks a little more refined, a little more finished, and I like how it blends the three types of setting that they have in here on the cover. It's very theme. You know, you've got Age of Myth, you've got the horror, and then you've got the post-apocalypse right there on the cover. And that tells you, here, you got 3 new setting types in here right away.
Oh, I know. That's great.
That's
great.
And is that the same painting, I think, on the cover that's on the GM screen? I thought it was fairly similar.
Parts of it, yes.
Parts of it.
It's kind of
outside of the GM screen?
Yes, the outside of the GM screen has a lot more to it than just that. I think it's a combination of a couple of things.
Right, okay.
So, but it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think it does too. I mean, it's definitely in the same theme as the like you said, as the core book. How you've got kind of that slightly unfinished look to these pictures in here. And for those of you that didn't get what that art was all about, well, these are toolkits. These are toolkits for us.
Yeah. Not
finished, not completely polished. And that's what they're going for. And they did a bang up job again here, man.
As opposed to a Terranoth or a Shadow of the Beanstalk, those are finished settings. So you get complete art. Whereas Genesis is, like you said, a toolbox. So that when they do an illustration of, like, I know there's one illustration in the core book about some of these like commando types, space commando types. Well, the whole drawings aren't completely finished, but you know what they're going for.
Here. I'll tell you, one of the neatest pictures, I just flipped to it, page 10. This lady, could be an elf, could be a lady, whatever, right? Facing off against a Silhouette 2 dire wolf, maybe? That could totally be a shock. A little Inuit gnome that's transformed into a big wolf. She's in
very nice.
She's in trouble. She's in trouble. That's for sure. So yeah.
So
a lot of
as far as a favorite art piece, I gotta say the piece on 100, which is a couple of young people running from a spellcaster who is creating an illusion of a jade dragon.
Oh.
And that is on the description for the mask spell. And I just love it's simple art, simple lines, one little splash of color, but it brings out so much.
Yes,
the action in it. I love it.
That is cool, dude. That is pretty cool.
One of my favorite pieces. And then I'd say my second favorite piece would be just nearby in the magical talents section, where you have this orc druid and his animal companions. A bear with there's a falcon sitting on his staff. And
or crow.
And this orc it's by the Ensorcelled talent.
Yep.
And I think that's the Ensorcelled Supreme, which means, what that is your magic becomes a part of you, and it makes you more and more majestic as you get higher and higher ranks of Ensorcelled. And so the big freaking horns that he has are probably his the manifestation of his Ensorcelled talent.
Right.
Oh, exactly. That's cool, dude. That is pretty cool.
But overall, it's the trade dress of the core rulebook, and it's 112 pages. What do you think of that size?
Always, I want more, but it's not bad for for the number of pages that this is. It might not seem like a lot. Holy crap! Is there a lot of stuff in here?
It's packed to the gills.
It is. I mean, the vehicles. You have a crap ton of vehicles that they've added. Just the sheer content. This is definitely going to be the go-to book for GMs when you're creating stuff, because we'll get into the details on it. So, let's see here.
As I said, initially, we have 3 new settings.
Yep.
That's the very first thing the book opens up with, is 3 new sample settings, which we're going to get into in depth in their own shows later, like we've done with the ones in the core rulebook.
What are your impressions? What one did you like the most, the best, Tony?
Post-apocalypse.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's just well thought out. The archetypes fit, and I really love their little comment in that section.
What page?
About gritty versus action-packed post-apocalyptic games. So, where is it? It's
post-apocalyptic starts on 28.
Right,
Poke-apocalypse, I should say.
Poke-apocalypse?
Poke-apocalyptic.
It's the page 38. The Have a Nice Apocalypse sidebar.
I have a nice apocalypse. Oh, I remember reading that.
Yeah, it just talks about because I've heard other people say you can't run zombie apocalypse games and have fun, and
what?
And I've heard other people say that there's a challenge to running post-apocalyptic games because it's gritty and you're supposed to be starving and bullets are supposed to be scarce and that's supposed to be something you got to keep track of. That's something they talk about here. That for most players and GMs isn't fun. That's why it's so hard.
Bookkeeping, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The bookkeeping of playing in one of those settings. Now, it's not impossible, but it takes the right mix of players and the right GM to play in that real gritty post-apocalyptic setting.
And you got to have buy-in. You have to have buy-in by your players too.
Yeah.
For it.
Most people want to play in a fun apocalypse where they get to, with machine guns, mow down hordes of zombies or run them over with a car or get into gladiator arena battles in
the zombie land
automobiles and shit like that.
Right.
The zombie land kind of
yep.
zombie movie.
Or Mad Max kind of thing. Even though in Mad Max you still have that there are things that are rare. You know, water is fuel is the fuel is the most important and most valuable thing, right? In water too. So
those things can come into play in an apocalyptic setting, but to play in a fun apocalyptic setting, you don't want those to be your focus.
Correct.
They can be, a despair. Your vehicle ran out of fuel. Now you're hundreds of miles from any fuel source. That's a great way to incorporate those kinds of things. But it shouldn't be in a fun apocalyptic setting. It shouldn't be the focus of the game. And I really like that they went into that and did this real long sidebar. And I'm not going to read it
That's
verbatim.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get into it. Again, another show.
You got
my
a favorite?
Least favorite? No. That was my favorite. My least favorite was Age of Myth. I think they missed the mark on it, to be honest with you.
And where do you think they failed the most?
They failed the most with the with the character options, I believe.
The archetypes?
The archetypes. When I'm reading the demigod here, I don't feel like a demigod. I don't feel like I want to play this guy because I'm not going to feel like a demigod when I play it.
You don't feel like the old Hercules TV series kind of thing?
Nope. I would not. Playing this guy, I would not.
No? Because that's what I think it would be, like Age of Myth, where you're playing the offspring of gods, especially Greek gods, which are heavy into that.
Now, where I did think, almost
superhero.
Well, where I do think they really hit the mark is the gear, because the gear here is will make the demigod be a demigod, right? But just the initial when I was my first read through, I'm like. No, not so much. Don't necessarily want to. However,
and I personally think the place where I think that a mythic campaign would be better with these starting characters is that at character creation, I would recommend GMs, if you're going to run mythic out of the book here, give your players 50 to 100 starting XP after character creation. So that they can advance their characteristics with it, but they just don't have enough XP to seem like mythic characters to start.
You know what, Tony? I would give them 50 XP added on to the starting experience points here that they can put towards their characteristics if they'd like to. And it doesn't. I think that could make it feel a little more superpower-ish. Not superpower. I don't want to really use superpower-ish, but demigod.
No, but you're already skirting the superpower kind of, because you do have some.
Not with these guys.
People. No, maybe not as is. But if you give it, like you said, the extra 50 XP,
yep.
They boost maybe their brawn up to 5, and that allows them to do feats of strength like Hercules would do, or whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
And
yeah.
I don't see a reason to. I mean, personally, they're gods, they're demigods in a mythic setting. I don't see a reason to cap them at 5.
Yeah, me neither.
No,
you could get rid of that cap. But
maybe
again,
cap 5 at character creation.
Right,
yeah.
Right. I'm not saying. If I'm saying long term, if you really wanted to run a mythic campaign and let people play demigods, I honestly think that you're gonna. This isn't enough to run it.
To start with,
it's a bit of a primer. It gives you a stepping stone, and I think the reason why they did it, and this is my opinion here, I think the reason why they did it is so that you could pull that demigod out of this piece here and put it into another setting.
True.
Right.
And it would be balanced.
Right, like
you're right.
Put in the son of Neptune, and he's in the shadow of the beanstalk for some reason.
Right. Right.
But still, if you want to play a demigod, you want to play a demigod, a full demigod. So you want the whole full powers and stuff.
Right.
You might have some drawbacks. You might not be as adept with technology, perhaps. Around him, sometimes technology just goes. Sometimes I'm reminded a bit of the Percy Jackson series, where kids are all offspring.
And that's the thing, is that each one of these archetypes in the mythic section, they have a very powerful ability, but then they have a drawback also.
Yeah.
So it's built right into their archetype. The demigod, they have a tragic fate drawback.
Right.
So there's some cool stuff there.
Yep. So what do you think of the monster setting? To be honest, I went through it. Yeah. What do you think, Tony?
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get into the monster hunters type. Like rippers for Savage Worlds. If you're into that, that's just not really one that I find enjoyable.
I would love to try it sometime, but you know what? I would rather run. I'd rather run either Something Strange or Inquisition. If I wanted to play Monster Hunters in a monster setting, I would do one of those. Something Strange if it's more modern. Inquisition if I wanted to do more of a Salem witch trials kind of medieval kind of. Yeah,
I thought for some reason I thought Monster World was more horror Cthulhu.
No,
they've mentioned that trope in here. Obviously, they do, but it's more of a Victorian, Frankenstein.
Okay.
Mary Shelley.
Van Helsing.
Van Helsing. Yep.
Yep. It's that.
Yeah, it's that.
That era. It's
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of got that feel to it.
So you can get
for the setting,
the ready fight and put that with the Monster World for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you got martial arts vampires.
There you go. Perfect. So then they did list all of the skills and talents from all the different what do you call it? All the books or something like that, which would be what one of these three settings. Yeah.
All the core rulebook skills, tiers, and talents, all the ones that are in the core rulebook, how they can be used in these settings.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that's a good page.
Yeah. That's all of one graph on page 39. So well done.
Yeah.
Okay.
But speaking of, so the next section here, speaking of which, kind of round off this first part of the book, is creating a new setting. And holy buckets, dude. We need to totally go through this. We're going to go through this again. We have to.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a show dedicated to this once Stefan gets his book. This is an in-depth, oh my gosh,
it's like 20 pages at least.
It's a
starts on page 40.
16 pages, goes 40 to 56. In-depth dive into creating your setting, including some random tables.
Not
if you
some.
want to roll.
You could totally randomly create your concept for a world. We should totally do that when we do this show to review this section. We should just each of us just take turns rolling up the random part of it and just see what comes up.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I mean, on the random table, you've got things like good versus evil, mad science, mental powers, mutants. It's all kinds of stuff is on there.
Yeah, you can roll a couple of tropes, right? Yeah, mutants. Where are your insects there, Stefan? They don't have insects. What the fuck? Come on.
That would be the expanded player's guide 2.
Interplanetary travel.
But I'll tell you what, when we're creating our worlds for our Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse, there's a world structure and climate chart, so you can roll randomly.
You could build your world. You could
build a quick world.
Yep. Yeah, you got everything from so they have like a technology level on one. So you roll your technology level, then you go to your world structure, then a climate, like you said, like Tony said, the population,
environments, and other inhabitants and oddities. It's
governments.
So they definitely do expand a lot more than the core book, which just has that one sheet for the sort of world building little notebook, but not notebook, but note page.
Yeah, they have about an 8-page. It's an 8-page document on their website for the expanded settings book PDF. Where you can where it has all of this in here. It's like what you rolled and stuff on there. So that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's instead of the old 2-page setting creation sheet, they've created a much more elaborate one to go with this method.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know if they forgot to put it in the book or they just ran out of space, but they put it out as a free PDF on their website for you to get.
Now, there's a nifty little table on 54 called single personality traits. Like they put this in here for if you have an NPC that's leading a faction or something like that. That you can just randomly roll. An NPC having either a clever personality trait or suspicious. So, quick little tables there are always kind of good if you're stuck on things. So, again, we'll go into details on that. So
that's going to be a show in and of itself. So is this next section of the book.
Expanded
rule creation. So we have two big rule creation elements here.
Absolutely, dude.
The first one is vehicles. Yeah. They went to town. And I got to say, based on what I heard from him, our good friend Keith Capel did a good chunk of this.
Oh, sweet. Congrats, Keith. This is great.
The vehicles section in this book and how to create them for your settings, and then a ton of example vehicles.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's good.
Including mechs.
Yep.
For your Dragonstar. Adding them. You got a couple of example mecha in here, Stefan. So
sweet. Good. I have I kind of have a favorite little vehicle, Tony.
Yeah.
It would be the Wasteland Buggy, everybody. On page 64. In most post-apocalyptic settings, gangs of marauders have salvaged vehicles and rickety engines of destruction. This thing is like a silhouette. 2, max speed 4, handling +1, defense 1, no armor, obviously. The hull trauma threshold is 9, strain 9. But what's really interesting to me are these little extras at the back called. So, of course, you have your scrap shooter cannon where you just throw a bunch of shit in there and you shoot it out at somebody. A grill-mounted light machine gun. Who wouldn't want one of those on there? I know I want one on Rogue One, especially that lady that tried to cut me off the other day. All right. And then we have, it's vulnerable. This Wasteland Buggy is vulnerable because anybody targeting the vehicle gets to add two advantage to their results. And then it's called Spiky Bits on it, where if it's involved in a collision, all of the vehicles and characters involved add plus 30 to the results of their critical hit and injuries. I just like it.
My personal favorite
man.
would be the Armored War Zeppelin. Those are going to be part of the Calder army in Primordial Machina.
All right, if you weren't going to mention them, I was going to mention them, Tony.
In some settings, Zeppelins and dirigibles have become the preeminent air vehicles. This is our take on the fanciful War Zeppelin. You know, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which sports turret-mounted cannons and armored plates while being lighter than air.
Yeah, that's great.
The vehicle is amazing, and all the cool stuff that goes with it. That's definitely going into Primordial Machina.
Yeah.
You know
as
it
it is.
You know what? Another setting that had Zeppelins like that or airships like that for war? The Last Airbender.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
That's right.
they did.
Of course, instead of having cannons, it was actual firebenders.
Right.
Now, I wanted to bring up something because
Okay.
I thought it was really cool, and it plays into something that I did for Con on the Cob this year. And that is on page 59. They've got this little sidebar
Okay.
that we'll bring up again later in the future. But it's unorthodox control skills.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
So
that's good.
it talks about the things that you can do with your motorized speedboat that uses driving and your sailboat uses operating. But there's nothing that says a rowboat couldn't use athletics or parasailing could use coordination. So it talks about using athletics and coordination as skills. And if you know, as you guys know, you guys were both in it, my Con on the Cob adventure that I ran for Star Wars this year, Age of Rebellion, I added jet skis
You did.
that used athletics and hoverboards that used coordination.
Yep. I think I think my character had a hoverboard. I think. Yeah. And then that's right. No, we had hoverboards getting out of the city. Then we hopped onto jet skis.
And you hopped onto jet skis. Yeah. Point Break Mon Calamari.
Yeah, it was. I love it.
But anyhow, it was just something that caught my eye as like, hey, somebody else thinks like I do.
I actually thought of the jet skis from your adventure when I read that sidebar the other day. Well done. That's cool.
But yeah, the sample vehicles here, there is a large range of sample vehicles, and some of them real easy to reskin. Love it. Love it.
Are there any rules in there about chases?
I thought I just saw a sidebar on that. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, because I know
Yeah.
I know it was something. Yeah, 'cause I know it was something in your Star Wars game that you tried to kind of introduce a chase, which
I used roles that I was unfamiliar with, and it didn't go very well. And I didn't set out the expectation right from the get-go.
Yeah,
that
fell flat. I think
it wasn't. It was mainly I didn't have that preemptive. Hey, by the way, you guys are rebellion people. These people are allies. You're police of an ally state. You cannot attack them.
That
would have. If I had just said that right from the get-go, we wouldn't have had the issue we had.
Awesome.
We would have had people trying to get away, and I used really bad rules that did not work. So I went back to my old rules that I used in for the brewery for the Shadow of the Beanstalk adventure I ran. I think it was episode 4 or 5 of Shadow of the Beanstalk, my adventure that I ran for them, and I did a chase in there, and I had some rules for that, and I've written those out, and I think those work really well. I'm going to refine them over time, and just kind of eventually put them out there for everybody.
Yeah,
right.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So Stefan, answer your question. Only creating vehicles in this. Nothing about no chase rules.
Okay. So.
And they have like the templates where you can select a silhouette 1 vehicle is typically hull trauma between 1 and 4, system strain 1 and 5. So it gives you some guidelines, and then what it would cost to increase the max speed and handling, kind of like those tables that they had for adding attachments and building weapons and adding special properties to them. So
right.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So I guess Expanded Players 2 would have the chase.
We'll see.
along with my bug races.
Maybe it would have expanded GMs next.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go. Though I don't know, all of you GMs will be should be chomping at the bit at this adversary creation that they did, because they have codified as much as they possibly can to get adversaries down almost to a science, if you will, here. And almost
chapter.
Yeah.
This is as a GM, this is my favorite chapter of this book.
Yeah. This is great.
It codifies not only how to create an adversary, puts it into a mathematical equation, then it teaches you at the very end how to rate them and what level of party, and gives a rating to a ton of the adversaries that are out there, and it does a whole section on adversary power level.
Yep.
For counterbalance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so power level, what's involved in power levels, you have a combat power level, a social power level, and a general power level. Now, the general power level at first, when I first took a glance at this before I read it, thought, oh, that's kind of an average between your combat and your social. No, it's totally not. That is the support portion, utility portion that this type of adversary would add, like how well they'd be able to heal or buff other party members and do things maybe outside of combat that is not like a social combat or physical combat, like Combat 0 as opposed to Combat 1 or whatever. So again, those are
this
cool.
is another future show topic, the power levels of this whole section from page 84 with the example adversaries. They've got a ton of generic example adversaries all the way to page 93. 9 pages of adversary power level goodness. And then on top of that, they have also gone back, and I believe there was an article where they did do an article the other day where they codified all the existing ones.
Yep.
I saw that.
And they did that up on their website.
I think,
all the existing ones from Terranoth and Shadow of the Beanstalk and the Genesis Core rulebook.
Yep.
And gave them
Sam did that.
Power levels as well.
Yes, Sam Stewart did that. It's called A New Challenge, the errata overview for Genesis. So, yeah.
Yeah, so download that errata and it'll have those power levels right in it.
Yep, for all of them. So, yeah, this is pretty cool. You know what I really like? You know what I like here? I know we're going to be going into details on this some other time, but one thing that my favorite part of this are these skill packages, man. Mm-hmm. They have a list of what they call skill packages here, where you'd pick one of these for like a minion group, maybe 1 or 2 for your rivals and your nemesis, and if you really had a really experienced nemesis or a really unique nemesis that you want to keep around, you'd probably give them 3 of them. So you would do something like, I don't know, what do we have here? Okay, a sailor, for instance. Athletics 2, operating 3, perception 2, ranged 1, vigilance 1, and that skill package would add a combat plus 0 to the power level, plus 0 to social, but plus 1 to like the general power level of that adversary that you're creating. So, and they have a whole bunch of them listed here. So, and they've even done that for their adversary talents too. They assign power levels to them. So, as you're building up your enemies, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. Very, very useful tool. So, if you haven't decided to get this book as a GM, this is the reason to, right here.
Yep.
Alone.
Totally.
Your encounters will be more balanced, because
if you want balance encounters.
While encounter balance is a myth for a lot of people, it's also a feel. Once you've been GMing for a while, you get a feel for it, and you don't need to have a science. But for new GMs, having that tool to be able to dial in their encounters we've gotten several questions from our listeners about it alone. And I think this will be the reason, as a new GM, you should buy this book.
Yeah, I agree. I support that 110%, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
So then we get on to Chris's favorite section of the book.
Yeah, I really enjoyed what they added here with the expanded magic rules, man. I'm telling you, I'm loving playing a shock, doing a transformation. So yeah, so part 3 is the expanded alternate rules. So they've expanded the magic rules, which we did a show on it a couple weeks ago, right? The magic talents, which, by the way, I must tell you, component casting is a favorite, because I'll tell you, the other night when we were playing, after I picked it, after our first session, our second session, adding that talent, it's not all about the boost die there, Stefan. It really but it kind of is all the time. But no, what that talent kind of made me do as a player, or helped me do, or encouraged me to do without it even saying anything to me, is just coming up with these things. I want to use it, but what can I do? Oh yeah, I still have the feather in my ass because I didn't quite transform last time, and I pull it out, and I'm going to use it, right? Because I tried to turn it into a bird, and I tried to do it again. And I don't know, it just really evokes something in me, just taking a frickin' tier 1 talent, and it's only 5 XP.
Yeah.
That's all.
And so we went in depth on that before, and
yep.
Then the next alternative rule that they give us is one that we've had players ask for, and we've had other GMs talk about doing. Well, now they've given us the idea on how to do it, and that is how to create specialization trees for your setting.
Yeah.
Using, just like we had in Star Wars, the specialization trees, which a lot of people were lamenting that we didn't have in Genesis. Mm-hmm. Well, now you have the ability, the rules for how to do those. And that's going to be another whole show for us, just talking about how to do those.
Right. And they did a really good job with this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I've heard some people describe how to do a specialization tree, but a couple things in here really were, how you arrange talents. There's something in here about saying, even though a talent might be a level 3 talent, and the example they give is the animal companion talent is tier 3, right? But if you create a specialization tree for, say, a druid, you might want to put that at tier 2, because it's maybe a little easier.
That's an iconic part of being a druid.
Exactly. Yep. So just little tidbits like that, kind of sprinkled throughout this section, will help, and is pretty cool. Yeah.
Because those specialization trees, that reminds me, even before Genesis came out, someone had created, I think they call it the Edge of the Empire setting. It's like a fantasy Edge of the Kingdom, which is a fantasy setting, and they created careers just like for the Star Wars, so knights and rogues
really
and stuff.
Well done.
Yeah, and they had the tree, so it split up, and of course
I still have it.
It's still available if you can find it. And of course, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek with the bad guys being fantasy versions of Darth Vader and Stormtroopers.
Yeah. Hey, you know
Storm Knights. And the Dark Lord. Dark
Lord, Dark Knight. Yeah. Definitely a Death Knight kind of character, but still pretty cool, Yep.
Yeah, that's a good resource for how to build fantasy trees. Yeah. I sometimes I forget about it. I was running that for my Grognards. Prior to Genesis coming out.
Oh, cool.
And when Genesis came out and we heard about Terranoth, we were like, throw that on the back burner.
Let's do that, right. Oh, you know what?
Thanks for bringing that up, Stefan.
Oh, no problem.
The picture on page 103, it's a picture of a priest clutching his rosary on one hand, and a stake. There you go. You can see it, Stefan. Stake in the other hand, and then way back in the background is a hooded or a cloaked hooded character with a little bit of red in the cloak towards the bottom. Yeah. What specialization do you think he might or might not have taken? I'm thinking, right? It's kind of neat.
Yeah. Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, you know it. And skeletons in the hallway there. Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's an exorcist. You never know.
There it is. Sweet.
At page 107,
yep,
we get a awesome little 107 and 108, just a little more fine-tuning to social encounters.
Yeah.
Which I did not expect in this book. I did not know that was coming, and I like it. I love social encounters. This gives you a little bit more tools as a GM. Something I was doing anyway is a chart over on page 108, this little chart at the bottom, and I want to point that out. It's this new rule, group leaders. So when you have a large group and you want to change the opinion of their leader to recruit that group, increasing the leader's strain threshold by the size of his followers.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes him...
So that he's less of a pushover.
Yeah, exactly.
Takes more of him because he's backed up by all his minions.
Yep. What was the main thing about this portion here, Tony, that you would just use and you're like, oh crap, yeah, I should have thought of that. I could have done this. What would it be? What do you think? I know you've done the extra activations thing. We've done that. That's always a good thing for sure.
I don't know. The group leaders thing I really liked. And the cooperation notes that they have on players cooperating, I think. But otherwise, it's just more of a fine-tuning of their social encounters rules. These are things that I think maybe might have hit the cutting room floor when they were creating the social encounter rules, and just adding them in here because they're useful. Each little paragraph is useful.
Yep. One thing that stuck out to me, and I think you may have done this as well, is on the bottom of page 107, dealing with conflicting assertions. So when one member of the party, one PC, pisses the guy off, and the other wants to be like buddy with him, how do you handle that? Right? Given it goes beyond like setback dice. In this case, because they're like, the adversary can be like confused and like distrustful and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? If they're not playing off the good cop, bad cop act, right? If they haven't done this. So that was kind of interesting to me. That's kind of neat.
And there's nothing wrong with using those talents, good cop, bad cop.
Oh,
those are some of my favorite talents from Star Wars. And they have been reprinted in the Genesis Talent Guide that was done as a group resource on the Fantasy Flight forums.
Yeah,
it's in there.
I think there's
nothing wrong with using those.
They're in Shadows of the Beanstalk, too.
They're in Shadows of the Beanstalk.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't they in there as well? So that's right.
Yes.
And then this last one, two of my favorite tones and tropes of gaming. What do we have here? What do we have here, Tony?
So the first one, near and dear to our hearts, because we have a fellow nerd who did an entire setting book for Savage Worlds for this heist games.
Yes.
And they use a new mechanic for that. Heat rules. Very similar to our friend Eric's Wise Guys. And we had him on our show and talked about running Wise Guys in Genesis. That it really his setting that he created for Savage Worlds, if you're a Savage Worlds player or not, the sheer plethora of useful stuff in there for any game master. How to create gangs, organized crime.
He did a lot of research.
Eric put his heart and soul.
It's been
2 years,
2 or 3 years in the making. Yep.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful book, and it's up on Drive-Thru RPG from
called Wise Guys.
Just Insert Imagination, Wise Guys, a Savage Worlds supplement.
Yep.
And but this, if you're going to run a game where you have a heist going on, take a look at this tome in the back here. Very cool. The rules for heat, very cool. I like it.
Oh yeah. That's
but the other one's more your style, buddy. What's that one?
Noir. Hey, it was a tough night, and Stefan was coming into my office dressed up as a woman. His sister, he said. wanted me to find his brother. It's your, it's like your whole detective.
Dick Tracy.
Your whole, dark, gloomy. It's raining just a little harder in this setting because it's noir and it's gloomy and there's
the light coming in through the horizontal blinds.
That's right. And, I'm smoking a cigarette because it's what you do in a noir.
Yeah, my name is Tracer Bullet. I keep 2 magnums. One is a magnum whiskey, keeps me loaded. And I keep another magnum. I keep it loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the new rule that they add for that is exactly what Chris just did, which is that internal monologue.
Yeah.
And when a character performs one at the table, the new rule is the GM can allow them to heal up to 3 strain by doing that, performing their inner monologue at the table.
Yep, you can do that like once per encounter. You can just start doing an internal monologue. Yeah.
So the dame walked into my office, legs for miles.
That's right. But he had a mustache. He had a goatee mustache.
That's it. That's cover to
That's
cover.
It. Yeah. Go
Stephen,
get it.
do you want it more? Are you jealous?
Of course I want it. I want it.
You want it.
I want my precious.
Well, I hope you get it soon, buddy. It is beautiful and you're going to love it.
That's what she said. Oh, what the hell?
You know it. All right. Well, we have a new segment we're introducing next. Are we ready to move on to that?
Yes, right after these words from our sponsors.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to our brand new segment, Lightning Strikes. I was a dark and gloomy night, and this is where we go up to the lab and see what's on the slab. Where Tony will choose an adversary from one of the books, and we dissect it, take it apart, and rebuild it better than ever.
I see what you did there, dude. We go up the lab to see what's on the slab. That's the name of the new segment, by the way. Exactly. I see what you did there, Stefan. Well done, buddy.
So my choice this show was the Berserker, a minion from Realms of Terranoth, page 213. Is particularly the Uthuk Berserker. And I love the opening paragraph here, and I want to read it because it gives you that, what these guys are. So, frothing with bloody frenzy, Uthuk Berserkers hurl themselves into the press of combat, craving only to hack apart their foes. Touched by the demonic darkness of the Rue, these Uthuk warriors have given themselves over completely to mindless savagery, forsaking the discipline of drill and formation, as well as armor and shield, scorning anything that might slow their headlong charge into the fray. They become depraved murderers in combat.
Yeah. Damn. Sounds like my Saturday night group when they play Murder Hobo Motherfuckers.
So, yeah, that gives you an idea. Now, these guys are usually outfitted with nasty weapons, vicious items that they carry, crude hooked axes, sawtooth blades, spiked hammers, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's nothing that says they don't just cover themselves in bony spurs and attack you with that. Mm-hmm. So, they have the following characteristics. They have a 3 brawn, 2 agility, 1 intellect, 2 cunning, 2 willpower, and 1 presence. Like I said, they're a minion group, so they have a Soka 3, and each minion has a wound threshold of 1 or 5. Sorry.
I would think, given your description that you just read, willpower and presence would be swapped. Their presence would be greater than their willpower. For me, willpower is being able to control yourself, discipline, go. These guys are completely fucking nuts and would scare the shit out of me. And their presence, I would think those would need to be swapped.
And I think as a GM, if you felt that needed to happen, do it. Because
minions anyway.
They're just minions anyway.
Just minions.
Their skill group for this minion group, they're Brawl, Melee Light, Resilience, and Survival. So none of those abilities that you just mentioned, the characteristics that you just mentioned, neither of them are affected by their skills. So
exactly. Yeah.
It would be a cosmetic change unless, for instance, one of the players was using some sort of way of maybe trying to calm them down or trying to resist
maybe
their coercion.
Maybe because they are berserking, their willpower is greater because they are able to resist those things better. I see that. All right. You talked me out of it, Tony.
They have no talents, as most minions
You talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
They have no talents. Most minions don't. But they got some cool abilities. You guys want to help me read those?
Yeah, buddy.
Sure.
Go ahead, Stefan.
Okay, Stefan, take the first.
Right. Abilities. Bone Spurs. Berserker who is targeted by a melee combat check may spend 3 threat or a despair to cause the attacker to suffer 3 wounds.
Oh, that's great.
So they've covered because they've given themselves over to the ruse. Sometimes their body could be almost partially weaponized. Elbow spikes and knee spikes and short horns.
Oh yeah.
So that's when your hero's like, oh yeah, oops, a despair, whang, bone spur to the groin, ow.
Yeah, and they suffer 3 wounds. You don't soak this.
Don't soak those.
You take
suffer 3 wounds, not soakable.
Yeah.
That's why? Because you got 3 threat or despair. That's why.
Exactly.
And what's the next one, Chris? Right after that.
Oh, Stefan, today is a good day to die. A good death is what it is called. As an incidental, these crazy sons of bitches at the start of their turn could, if they're engaged with an enemy, remove a member of its group as a casualty to add 6 damage to the minion group's attack on their turn.
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude.
So he just sacrifices himself and just goes to town with...
You're basically doubling... I mean, their base damage is 6, so you're adding 6 more to that. So they're starting off at 13 damage minimum if they hit you.
So GM tip, always start with 1 extra minion in your group. When you're making these guys for a counterbalance, you want to have to be able to use that ability without weakening these guys as a GM.
Too much, right.
Normally, my suggestion would be a minion group of 3 or 4 with these guys, but on like 5. A really, really daunting fight, throw a minion group of 6 out there.
Oh,
and then sacrifice 1 right from the get out.
That's right. And that's for that attack that turn. So it's that turn they're next to somebody. It doesn't continue. They'll have to get rid of another guy next turn.
Exactly. But still, if that's their frenzy, they're just all they want to do is kill.
Yeah, they might be hacking each other up. Who the hell knows?
That's it. Do I die? I don't. It doesn't matter. I'll be reincarnated maybe as a demon. But I'm going to kill something.
Yeah, that's a fun ability.
Like Chris said, equipment-wise, they start with 2 bone blades, so they can use paired weapons. They're melee light, damage 6, critical 4, and the range of engaged. These guys aren't ranged combatants.
No.
Now, I do want to read the sidebar, because there is a sidebar about these guys on the same page at the top, Shriekers. So the Ithuk witches utilize countless horrific punishments for those who fail them. In one popular punishment for berserkers, the witch slashes open the offender's back, cruelly wrenching out their lungs and warping them into huge, overgrown mockeries of life. These so-called shriekers constantly scream their resulting rage and pain, and the grotesquely enlarged lungs amplify the sound so greatly that it debilitates foes. To represent a shrieker, add the following ability to the berserker profile. Shrieker, enemies within medium range, add a setback die to all checks and suffer 1 additional strain whenever they suffer any amount of strain.
Wow,
that includes
dude.
Spell casting.
I totally did not read this. I'm glad you did. Oh my god.
So
that is nuts, man.
GMs, a minion group with a shrieker in it.
Yeah.
6 minions. Sacrifice right from the get-go. Kick off your shrieker and just you can turn this minion group of berserkers into a horrible encounter if you get the ambush on your players.
This is
on the characters.
Have you ever? Okay, so you guys have watched the show Vikings, right?
Mm-hmm. This Blood Eagle.
The Blood Eagle. That's what this is. Yeah. Turning that Blood Eagle into a freaking Shriekers. Yeah. Oh my god, that's nuts.
But instead of killing the target, it just makes them shriek.
Well, they're kept alive with dark magics.
You know what would be a great adventure, like one shot, or even like a climax to an adventure, is the adventurers coming upon this ritual and interrupting it. That'd be great. Right in the middle of it. Oh,
and of course you pair these berserkers with a blood sister nearby, and that can be nasty.
Oh yeah.
Are those the witches?
We'll get into another time. Yes, that's the witches. Right? The blood sister and the night seer are the witches and
the warlocks.
Warlocks of the Rue.
Yeah.
But what I really wanted to get into, and this is why I chose these minions, is, well, why is this important if you don't play Terranoth? Well, this is why. Reskin them, okay? Mm-hmm. This is where I tell you, these guys are perfect. You want to run a Forgotten Realms type campaign? Battle Ragers. Mm-hmm. These guys are your Dwarven Battle Ragers.
That's Flint and his boys, definitely.
You want to run a High Seas campaign? Or a Space Western?
Space Western.
These guys are Reavers.
Yeah, they are.
They're out in the middle of if you're running Firefly, these guys are your Reavers.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
If you're running a dark monster world or Cthulhu-esque setting, escaped lunatic. A group of escaped lunatics, or even in a superhero setting where you have, like, think of the Batman Begins, where all the lunatics got hit by that drug and were running around doing crazy things. This is a perfect, if you're running supers, escaped lunatics. If you're running post-apocalyptic savage cannibals, think Borderlands.
Mad Max.
Yeah. Borderlands, the cartoon or the video game. If you think you're crazies in that, and they're wielding these weird spiked weapons, and they're crazy, and they're coming at you from all angles. These guys are reskinnable in about 100 different ways.
Yeah. What did those guys say?
Rename some of the stuff.
What did they say in Mad Max, the Fury Road? What did they say? Those guys, they spray themselves in the mouth.
Witness me!
Yeah, that's what it is. Witness me! You know what? I got a new saying for a shock.
There we go.
You were saying, Stefan.
Good. Sorry.
What was I saying?
I don't know. You guys were talking at the same time.
Like just reskinning some of their abilities too, of course. Like bone spurs can just be part of their salvaged armor, chains that they've got that, they're escaped lunatics. They just grab some chains or spiked or clubs with nails in it or whatever.
A good
One last one. And because I had talked about it early on when we first started doing the show, Chris, when you and I were talking about doing settings, I was talking about doing Hellgate. And one of the things is there are demons that are just covered in these chains.
Oh, there you go.
That will run in these chains covered in hooks that this rip at flesh.
Spikes,
and they can, they're berserkers. It's essentially what these things would do.
Yeah.
These guys would be perfect for that.
Yeah, you know it. Dude,
nice.
A good death in the Mad Max would be flinging one of your minions onto onto Furia's car, big truck, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to finish off this section about these guys with reading the last sentence of their entry because I think it's just amazing. So, Berserker's only desire is to charge screaming into the midst of the enemy, murder everything within reach, until at last they themselves are cut down to join their victims in a sea of gore.
There we go. And that's another good death.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. So, with that...
Thank you, Tony, for that new segment. I think it's great.
Buddy, yeah, that's good. I like that. I like the idea of reskinning these adversaries when we throw them on the slab too.
That's it.
That's why they're on the slab. We need to reskin them bit by bit.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Let's move on.
All right, welcome to our favorite segment of the show called Advantageous Threats. And yes, I'm introducing this one again because, I do everything around here. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Continue. You're not done yet. Come on. Keep going.
Not done. So we build and roll or narrate our dice results for different little situations and setups, and then we try to interpret those roles and see what happens in the narrative, kind of thing. So that's it.
Yeah.
So we'll start by I think with Tony.
Okay. Well, I begin with my little scenario I have here, where my animal companion and a friend of mine are wandering through the mountains, the broken crags, basically patrolling a pass through the mountains, and we've been ambushed by none other than some Uthuk berserkers.
Oh no!
So my character, Thorvald Dragonspawn, a Forgedwarf disciple of Kurnos in Terranot, will be blessing his snow owl. So snow owl is his animal companion. Now, well, how do I have the snow owl? Well, I chose the stats for the falcon on page 87 of the expanded player's guide. And it says right in their block that this profile could be used for the hawk, eagle, or owl. So I don't have to make any changes. I didn't have to clear anything with my GM. I could just go, this is an owl, not a falcon. Ta-da! So my owl, animal companion named Hugin, and I'll be casting my signature spell, Vigor of the Hunter,
Nice.
which is an augment with divine health and additional target added, which is normally 5 purple difficulty, but I'll be using my holy icon, and it being a signature spell, which reduces it to 3 purple.
What's this holy icon?
The holy icon will be a wooden antler that hangs from my neck on a leather thong.
Cool.
And carved with the symbols of my my god,
Sweet.
Kurnos, the god of the hunt.
It's also a bottle opener, but anyway.
That too. It's a multifunctioning tool.
Nice.
And I also earlier this morning slew a deer, and I kept its liver for a spell component. So I reach into my pouch and pull out this dried husk of deer leather, and that will give me a boost die for component casting.
Sweet.
So right now, my pool sits as divine 2 yellow, 1 green, with a blue boost die for the component casting versus 3 purple difficulty. Now, since you guys are the GM, is there a Shrieker in the minion group?
Yeah, there is.
I think so, yeah.
I'll throw a setback die in there. Oops. Well, that one went on the floor. We'll have to hunt
Or
for that
is
one.
the Shrieker so when you say Shrieker, there's like the minion group is a Shrieker, or there's one in the group, and then you just add that ability to it.
All it takes is for there to be one in the minion group.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's a Shrieker there. He's standing right next to you. Ah! They're right there on you, dude.
Okay.
So yeah, right. So that's why I'm going to flip a story point, because they're right on top of you. They're
right. So
right
upgrading.
Yep.
All right. Well, this blessing is one that Thorvald speaks for often, and has cast on many occasions, and can do so in a pinch. And so I too will be flipping a story point and going for the 3 yellow dice in my pool.
Coolness.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Looks good to me, man.
All right.
Go for it.
So let's start off by saying there are no despair or triumphs. And and I end up, when I balance everything out, I end up with 1 success and 2 threat.
Ooh. Oh my.
So, good GMs.
Yeah, so your spell goes off, so what does it do?
Well, that will give myself and Hugin additional health equal to my ranks in knowledge lore, which is 3 ranks. So we will gain additional wounds.
Aha.
So Hugin's will go up to 7, and mine will go up to 16. So our wound thresholds go up.
Nice.
Okay. But
and we can add a green die to any things we want to do. What would you like to do with the setback or the threat?
I'm actually liking the fact that you need these magical energies kind of exhausted you a bit, and with these guys around you, you're going to take 4 strain total. 2 strain for each threat.
So grand total of 5 to cast that spell, because the Shrieker caused me to take an extra 1, 2 for the base, and 4 for all the threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Very,
7.
very
you took
taxed.
7. You took 7 total, right?
No, 5 total.
No, you take
No,
4.
7. Yeah.
7, yeah.
my bad.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Ugh, that was a taxing spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
However, being the animal companion, Eugen's turn is not done.
What?
Because as a maneuver, he may then command, Thorvald's turn is not done. He may command Eugen to attack.
Nice.
So I will be attacking also.
Oh, so you get to roll twice?
Yes, I do.
This is a first, everybody, on Finding the Narrative. He's found a loophole.
So the Falcon has
Or
a
the
brawl
owl.
of 2 and a brawn of 1.
Yep.
Or yes, the owl. So normally his dice pool for a melee attack is going to be 1 yellow, 1 green. However, he's augmented, so now there's an additional green.
Sweet.
And the melee difficulty of 2 purple. And that's it. GMs, would you like to affect it in any way, shape, or form? Oh yeah.
Already. The Shrieker.
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 Shrieking.
Got that in there.
It is
Anything else?
shrieking.
Well, he had to use his maneuver to fly at them, so he cannot aim, so this is it for him.
Okay.
All right. Well, sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. Well, I ended up with the same exact result that I had with Thorvald. One success, 2 threat.
Oh, only 2 threat? Not a third?
No.
Oh, man. Sweet.
No wonder they're animal companions. They're all always the same.
Nice.
So, but with
right.
1 success, damage for his beacon claw attack
Yep. What is
is
it?
going to be 3 plus uncancelled successes, total of 4.
4.
Ah.
Do they have a pierce value? That beak or
It-
claw?
The beak does not have pierce; it has vicious.
Vicious. Oh yeah. So you kind of take a what do you call it? Like a piece out of one of these berserkers that are right there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right out of the
for 1 total
Yes.
damage after.
one
so.
damage.
total
yeah.
damage. Yes.
Still. There we go.
Okay,
Right.
that was my turn.
Yay! All right.
Stefan.
Well done, man. That's cool.
All right. So Thorvald's ally in this fight, Kiar Whiteshadow, a catfolk scout. Looks very much like a snow leopard. He's a master of the bow. He's got the Eye of the Hunter heroic ability. He's going to try to disable that Shrieker. He's got keen hearing, and all that shrieking is upsetting him. So his tail is all bushy, and
Awesome.
so he's got a couple of talents. And in addition to his Eye of the Hunter, which is basically the paragon of archery.
Ooh. Nice.
He's got hamstring shot and quick strike. Hamstring means once per round, 1 target can be affected by just half the damage inflicted, but then he's immobilized until the end of the next turn.
Gotcha.
And quick strike 2 would allow him to plus 2 boost dice versus combat checks versus a foe that hasn't acted yet.
However, that wouldn't come into play in this.
Because they've already ambushed. Right. Because they've already ambushed. So there you go. They're right next to Thorvald there.
That's it. So that, unfortunately, gets taken away. Can't use that one. That's fine. So he's got ability of 2 green and 2 yellow. So good agility and 2 ranks in ranged.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get that. And he'll be double aiming.
Okay.
2 boost dice right there.
Nice. So that would cost him, with 2 maneuvers, that would cost him 2 strain normally.
2 strain. So next
with the Shrieker, 3.
3 strain.
3 strain. Nice.
And he gets the setback dice for that Shrieker.
Right. And I'm thinking these guys
shut up yet.
These guys are still. These guys are probably short range, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1, but I think an automatic upgrade because Thorvald. They're right on top of Thorvald there.
Right. So one purple. One red difficulty.
Yep.
One challenge. All right, and
a setback.
I got the setback.
Got it.
No problem. And with the Eye of the Hunter, what that will allow me to do on a ranged skill check after rolling the dice, I can remove 1 difficulty dice of my choice. Of course, I don't have any more difficulty dice. They're challenge dice.
However, that was an upgrade that was automatic because there was a player in melee combat. As the other voice of the GM here, I would like to say this is a great opportunity to flip a story point because there's not just Thorvald there, but Thorvald's animal companion.
Oh, there you go.
So add a purple.
Add a purple. All right, so I'll be able to affect that, whatever the result is. All right, so that looks good to me. So 2 greens, 2 yellow, 2 blues, and then 1 each of the bad dice. 1 red, 1 purple, 1 black.
All right.
2 of everything good, 1 of everything bad.
That's it. So,
let's see.
And it does go horribly bad.
Oh, it does? Oh.
We do have a despair. So yes.
No.
And no successes. Lots of advantages, though. So we've got three failures.
Total?
And 1, 2, 3, 6 advantages and a despair.
Tony, do you want to roll the die or should I?
But I can remove the purple dice entirely and just have it resolve as just a blank side.
Cool.
Well, actually, you just remove it, yeah. So, but still, 6 advantage, a failure. Well, 2 failures because the triumph also counts as a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any successes to cancel them out.
So. Well, I think we may have to randomize who gets hit. Thorvald or your Hugin.
All right. Well, Thorvald's a larger target, so I think we'll go with 2/3 chance of hitting him. So anything under 66 on percentile dice will hit Thorvald.
Sounds good. You rolling it? Go for it.
All right, so I rolled 96. Oh, no, my poor birdie.
Oh, no. What's your damage there, Stefan?
Well, the basic damage would be 7.
All right. Would you like to activate any special abilities like critting it or immobilizing it?
I don't think so. Since
well, you did say you were going to try and immobilize it. Is that something immobilizing shot? I guess you select before you shoot or not. I can't remember.
Before reducing the damage of the target soak, that would be maybe immobilized if I'm trying it, I would say. But since I rolled some advantage, maybe I use some of that advantage to say it's just a normal hit.
I know.
And it would be half damage anyway, so 3.5? 3 damage.
Round up.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 damage only.
So 4 damage and Hugin is out of the fight.
Oh, it doesn't look good for Team Good.
No. But maybe with some of the other advantages, I've got 6 of them, maybe 2 advantage at least not to immobilize Hugin.
I think he's already immobilized.
Perhaps the spray of arrows, the arrows going out, maybe will provide a bit of cover for Thorvald for the ensuing charge, giving him 1 defense rating, a setback die to their attack.
Yeah.
Well, they're already there. They've already charged, but they're getting ready just flailing
peppering
around.
with arrows. Yeah.
And of course, if you guys haven't guessed it yet, yes, I am playing the Uthik Barbarians, everybody.
There we go. All right, so now it's time for the barbarian.
They're
berserkers.
following up the ambush that calls to each. It's a good day to die. Witness me, right? And they're going to be using a good death ability. So as they're in combat, one of them just gets sliced right across the neck, and by one of their buddies, and gets taken out. And that casualty will allow me to add 6 to my damage here as I hit Thorval. Here.
God, I hope you don't hit.
Yeah, so that will leave me now. Granted, Tony, me as a DM, I didn't put 5 in this group. It was only 4, so now there's 3 left.
You're failing me, Chris. How can you TPK me if?
Yeah.
All right then. You know what? There's 4 now. How about that?
There we go.
So it's going to be it's actually going to be it's going to be 3 yellow.
Yep.
2 purple. They're going to aim because they're right there. Doing that good death isn't incidental.
They've got at least a setback dice because of all the arrows coming in.
They have 1 setback die because of the setback. And
Thorval's shield gives him a defensive 1.
Defensive 1. Cool. I will be spending a GM story point because, I'm just like that, and I feel a little bloodthirsty because of Saturday night still.
There you go. You still want to... You actually want a TPK. So.
Because it's a good death, yo!
Let's see. I want to see if you can even hit.
Okay. Does that look good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. All right. So we have 3 yellow, a green, a blue, 2 purple, and 2 black.
There we go.
Here we go. Oh, shit. And then some. All right. We have a total 2 successes and a triumph.
Ooh.
So...
And no threat, no advantage?
No, all that kind of washes out there. The boost, the aiming didn't help. The your shield did so not help, but the arrows kind of did. Yeah. So that's going to be a total of 14 damage, buddy.
Ouch.
Okay, well, a good thing I have 16 wounds and a soak of 4.
What?
So, I'm still up.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. We're gonna roll a crit.
Okay.
On Thorval.
I happen to have my GM screen laying right in front of me.
Oh, there we go.
The
chart.
Good. The GM screen that you picked up with the EPG, right?
Yes, of course.
Sweet.
It lays open all the time as on my keyboard tray.
Nice. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, what is a 90?
How?
It's a you can fuck off. That's what it is. It's a compromise. Increase the difficulty of all skill checks by 1 until this critical is healed. He's been compromised. I got a bone spike sticking out of my lung.
That's right. Actually, you know what it was? That shield so didn't help because that guy just hits you. Boom! You hit yourself right in the head with it. Maybe.
Blood pouring down in my eyes. I can't see.
Right.
That's it. There you go.
Maybe a concussion.
Yeah, maybe. He might be concussed. Thorval.
Very nice.
Concussed.
It doesn't look well for Thorval and Hugin.
That's right.
No.
Kiar better run.
Yep.
They're being murdered.
Run to fight another day. I shall avenge your death.
My murderers are coming at you. My murdering berserkers are coming after you.
So, yes. Berserker.
Of course, I reread a little bit on the ability of the Paragon of archery.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he had had the supreme ability, he would have been able to remove that challenge dice entirely.
And he might have actually hit something. Oh wait, he still didn't have any successes.
No, but still, he could have
matter.
avoided the despair.
Yes,
That's right. Your
Paragon
cat
is
folk.
amazing.
You could start running.
Yep.
All right.
My cat folk in Jamie's game has Paragon Brawler. So,
Nice.
yeah, I look forward to using that.
Yeah.
Who do you? Awesome. Well, that was fun, gentlemen.
Yes, it was. Shall we
All
go
right.
home?
Let's go home. All right.
Let's wrap it up. Once again, I do everything around here.
We let you have the tail end of the show.
That's it.
Exactly.
I'm all about those cocktails. Yes.
There you go.
So there you go. So now we're just going to wrap it up, and I'd like to do a little shout out to some of our one of our current fellow podcasters and Nerds International member. This time, 3T RPG Podcast. These are a couple of guys in England, crazy limey bastards over the pond that do all kinds of crazy, weird shenanigans. They try different role-playing games, systems, and they like to turn things on their head and just go totally off the wall. Think Benny Hill, but on acid.
Nice.
Listen to them; they're pretty fun. They're funny guys, really nice guys too. So
They're about to do their big end of the year show, aren't they? Where they do
should
their
be, yeah.
3T RPG awards that they give that are hilarious.
Yeah, they've been asking on the MeWe some of your favorite moments or role-playing situations, whatnot. So get on there on MeWe, find them on podcast, whatever podcast source you listen to, and give them a listen.
Cool. So, what I would like to remind everybody that the Expanded Player's Guide is out there, and the GM screen is out there, ready, out in stores. They've been shipped to people. If you haven't seen the Expanded Setting Creation Sheet or the Specialization Tree Sheet in those books, they're not. So, you can download them from FFG's website. I'll have the links in the show notes for that. And Sam Stewart, we mentioned it earlier. He's got the errata overview article up there called A New Challenge. And then a slight little sidebar here that I'll add as well is to, just because I got the player's guides for them this week, Wise Guys, the gangster role-playing in Las Vegas in the 1990s that Just Imagination and Eric Lamoureux had put together. Granted, it's for Savage Worlds, but hey, that noir setting, or the heist tone. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and while recording the show, I downloaded all three of those things from FFG. So, so I got the errata and the expansion.
Oh yeah.
Setting sheet and tree sheet. So
yeah, and errata also, like we mentioned, also has the power levels for all the adversaries created up until this point. So from the core rulebook, Tiernoth, and Shadows of the Beanstalk as well. So
yeah, and what I like is that they split those challenge ratings in three categories. So combat, social, and general, because like a berserker would be a challenge in fights, but socially,
nope,
not so much.
Not a whole lot of utility either, unless the Bone Spurs could help. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Something.
Bargaining. Yeah, I don't want to pay full price on this armor. Not really.
Though the Shrieker has kind of a nice little debuff ability, for sure.
All right. Yeah, well, speaking of the Berserker and the Shriekers, tell us what you think about our new show segment on the slab. Contact us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. Get a hold of Stefan and I at Finding the Narrative on Facebook. You can talk to all three of us at Nerds International or the Finding the Narrative page on MeWe. We're there. We don't talk much, but we're there. Especially in the Finding the Narrative. Always one of us will answer you there, like almost immediately.
Yeah.
And then you can get a hold of Stefan alone if you want to talk to him privately at FTN_Genesis on Twitter. And listen to us on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and others.
Yeah, first.
This is Tony saying, keep rolling your shattered berserker bones.
Wait a minute.
And and this is Stefan saying, don't forget to ask for those boost dice. Even if they don't come up with successes, they might have advantages.
A lot of them, apparently, Stefan.
Yes. I got all the advantages tonight.
All right. Well, witness me! Remember the rule of cool? And just have fun, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned in this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright 2019, all rights reserved.